guys, it's Amy with Too Blessed, and I just wanted to make a quick video today and answer a question that I get asked from time to time, and that is, how do I deal with chronic illness? I've had several people, I've even had doctors that have commented or questioned and said, you know, I don't know how you handle it, or how do you handle it? And so I just wanted to share a little bit about what I've learned and the resources that I have to deal with it. So there's three major things that really help me to just make it through each day, and especially those really, really difficult days. So I'm just gonna jump in and tell you what I do and how I deal with it. So first of all, and I would say most importantly, is my faith in God. Without that, I really don't know how I would deal with it. And I don't know how people get through really tragic things or really difficult things without having that faith. I try to, especially when I'm having a really hard day, I try to do things that will sort of encourage my faith or strengthen my faith. And the things that I like to do are listening to preaching. It is really difficult when you're sick all the time to be able to go to church. You know, sometimes it just can't happen no matter how much you want to be there. And so I have found several churches that do live streams of their services, and that allows me to still kind of feel like I'm a part of a church service, that even if I'm laying in bed and I'm just completely sick, I can watch a church service and I can kind of feel like I'm actually there. So that helps me a lot, I think. And then, of course, finding even videos on YouTube. You know, if you want to watch something, you look it up on YouTube, you can probably find it. So there's all kinds of good videos and encouraging things that you can find on YouTube. Another thing I like to do is listen to music. I have a station on Pandora that I like to listen to. Just like uplifting Christian music that not only can speak to you, but it will encourage you and just kind of brighten your day. Some of my favorites right now are songs by a lady named Laura Story, and especially her song called Blessings, which I actually have a copy of some of the words hanging on my wall right here, because it really is my favorite song. And sometimes when I'm having a bad day, sometimes I'll just listen to that song just over and over on repeat, because it just really, I feel like it really describes what's happening in my life. The fact that there are hard things, but God can use those hard things to be a blessing, not only to me, but to somebody else. And then she also has another song that's one of my favorites, and it's called Perfect Peace. And that one has a line in it that says, it's as if God is talking, and he says, even though I may not calm the storm around you, you can hide in me. And that line always makes me cry, even when I just say it. Because that's what my faith does for me. It gives me a place to escape and a place to hide, and I can feel like I'm protected and I'm loved and I'm safe, even when everything around is just seeming to fall apart. That the love of God and the faith that I have in him is a hiding place that is a shelter from what's going on. I knew I was going to cry in this video. So, like I said, first of all, my faith in God really helps me get through. And then the second thing that helps me deal with chronic illness is the support system that I have. And now I'm going to start crying again. The main part of my support system is my husband. He does everything for me that I need him to. I'm not saying he has to do everything for me, but everything I need him to do, he is always there for me. He is the one, you know, when we found out that I had gastroparesis, he was the first one that started researching and finding out what it was and what treatments there were and what we needed to do. He's the one that found out about the gastric stimulator. I never would have known about it because none of my GI doctors told me about it. He found out about it and he asked them, and they kind of dismissed us because they said, well, they do those up at Vanderbilt, but it's a 3-year wait to even get in to see the doctor that does them. And so they basically just kind of told us, don't even try. But that's not, my husband's not going to take that as an answer. And he didn't. And he researched more, and he found another doctor in Knoxville that would do it, and he got me in there. And he never let up. He pushed until they did what needed to be done. And I really owe my life to him. He saved my life. And on more than one occasion. I'm also diabetic, and I have times when my blood sugar has dropped extremely low. There was one time that he knew it was low, and he got me something. I don't remember what he got me, but he got me something to drink or something, and he was trying to get me to drink it, and I don't even remember anything that happened, but he told me he was trying to get me to drink it, and I didn't want to drink it. And I was talking to him, but I don't even remember it. And then eventually I did pass out, and when he tested my blood sugar, it was like 30, which is extremely low. So he ended up having to call 911, and they had to take me to the hospital. And that's happened a few times, and really, just from being around me, he has learned, he can almost look at me and tell that my blood sugar is low. And so there's so many instances when he has just literally saved my life. And then the times that I'm in the hospital, and our nearest hospital is in Knoxville, and that's over an hour from our house. And so when I'm hospitalized, he comes and stays at the hospital, and he sleeps in the little fold-out chair, which is incredibly uncomfortable. And he gets up at 4 in the morning so that he can go to work. And then when he gets done working, he comes back. And he doesn't have to do that. He could go home and he could sleep in his own bed, and I would be okay in the hospital. But he comes because he knows how much I need him, and I do. And there's been a lot of times too where I'm feeling sick and he comes in and just, I instantly feel better. He is such a calming presence to me, and like reassuring. I really wasn't gonna cry this much, but I know when he's there, I know that I don't have to worry about anything. I know that he's gonna take care of whatever needs to be taken care of, and I can just rest, and I can just concentrate on healing and what I need to do. So aside from my husband, I do have a lot of family that helps me. I don't have a lot of family that lives close to where we live. But they do everything they can, and the most important thing they do is they pray for me. And if that's all that they did, that's more than enough. But I mean, there's just been so many times I couldn't even list them all if I tried. But my parents, they have come. They live in another state, and they have come. Like, when I've had surgery, my mom has come to help me, and my dad comes too, and they help fix things in our house. They helped paint my kitchen. They're all just so willing to do anything that I need. And I know a lot of people don't have that. I have to quit crying. I know a lot of people don't have as much support as I have, and I am so thankful for it. And I never want to take them for granted. And then the last part of my support system also includes my medical team, all of my doctors. And let me tell you, it is a challenge to find good doctors, especially a doctor that is knowledgeable about gastroparesis, because most of them have no idea what it is. Most of them have no idea what to do for it. So it was a long and very difficult journey to find the doctors that I have now, and even still, all of them are not good. My GI doctor that I have right now is just kind of okay. When we go to see him, I feel like he's the type of doctor that really doesn't necessarily listen and just kind of brushes us off a little bit. So, you know, we work with it. But my other doctors are so good that really I rely on them for the most part for anything I need. My primary care doctor is the same one that I've been seeing since Steve and I got married. He's the first one that we went to see, and he's very open to new things and willing to try new things. He always tells me if there's something I want to try, if I hear about a medication I want to try, I just have to ask him about it, and he will look into it and, you know, see what he thinks about it, see if he thinks it's a good thing. And he was actually the first one when I was getting sick. We were going to him, of course, to, you know, as a starting point. And from my symptoms, he was the first one that suggested that it might be gastroparesis. But he couldn't really diagnose me as having gastroparesis because he didn't have the ability to do the testing that was required. But he helps in any way that he can. And then I have my surgeon that implanted my gastric stimulator. He is very knowledgeable about gastroparesis, and he was a great help. I mean, they got me in. When my husband found out about their office, he called them and he told them what was going on, and they got me in so quickly. And any time that I've needed to get in to see them, we just call them and they fit me in, and they've just been so wonderful to work with. And then I also have, because of my kidney disease, I have a kidney doctor, a nephrologist, and she also has just been a really great doctor, I think. I really like it. The most important thing, I think, sometimes is to find a doctor that you kind of connect with, sort of personally, so that you feel comfortable and you can talk to them. And that's the way I feel about her, is I can just talk to her about anything. I can tell her anything, and she listens, and she will spend as much time as I need, you know, as long as we need to, talking about anything, not even necessarily kidney related. You know, I can talk to her about some of the gastroparesis things, and she's really interested and wants to know, and it tries to help me figure out how the gastroparesis works with the kidney disease and how they come together. So You know, it is, like I said, it's long and hard struggle to find doctors, but when you find a good one, you have to just really hold on to them and keep them as part of your support system, because it's just really important to have those resources that you can turn to when you're really, really sick. And then the final part of the 3 parts of how I deal with chronic illness is what I have kind of come to term, I've heard other people call it this also, but self-care. And at first I didn't like that term, because to me it feels selfish to say I have to take care of myself. But when it comes down to it, I'm the only one that knows what's going on inside my body. I'm the only one who knows how it feels. I'm the only one who knows how sick I am or how tired I am. So, you know, my support system, they try to help me. You know, my husband tries to keep me from overdoing. When I feel good, I have a tendency to try to do everything, you know, to try to catch up on all my housework in one day. And so he tries to slow me down and help me pace myself. But it, you know, and then sometimes he tries to push me a little bit, because there's times if maybe I've been sick and I've been in the house for 3 or 4 days, and he'll say, okay, it's time to get out of the house. And so he'll kind of prompt me and push me a little bit. But when it comes down to it, I'm the one that has to decide, can I do this? Do I have the energy? Do I feel good enough? Is it worth it to use my energy for this particular activity? Or would it be better to save my energy for later in the day when I can do something different? So, like I said, I'm the only one that can make those decisions about, especially about my energy level. Like, do I have enough energy? Because there are days that I literally cannot get out of bed. And then there are days that, yeah, I can get out of bed, but I have to just kind of sit around a little bit, you know. And then there's days that I go all out and I do a ton of things, and it's so unpredictable. But there are a few things that, as part of my self-care, that I try to monitor, and I try to, I say control, even though you can't really control a chronic illness, but I feel like when I control these particular things, it helps to somewhat control my symptoms. So the first thing I have learned to kind of try to control is stress. Stress is definitely a trigger, and that is common for most chronic illnesses, that especially something extremely stressful can cause a trigger and a flare-up of your symptoms. So it's really important to try to avoid that. Now, of course, it's not always possible. There are just stressful things in life. There are sometimes tragic things that happen. You know, we had a tragedy in my husband's family a few weeks ago, and a family member died. You can't avoid that. You can't really stay away from that situation. And so when stress does come, you have to just kind of do the best you can. But I have found that there are stressful situations and stressful people that I can avoid, and that really helps me, especially on a day-to-day basis. You know, there's people that we deal with sometimes that want to bring up drama and stir up trouble, and sometimes you just have to kind of cut those people out of your life. It's not worth it. It's not worth having to deal with that stress and end up being sick. So that's the thing that I've learned, is just to, you know, there are times that stress is going to be there and we have to just get through it, but when you can, avoid the stress. Another thing that I sort of try to control is my diet and exercise. Now, especially with something like gastroparesis, which affects the digestive system, monitoring your diet is especially important. There are a lot of things that I just really need to completely stay away from. One of them, in the past especially, has been pizza. I can't tell you, probably 3 or 4 times at least, where I ate pizza and then the very next day I ended up in a flare-up of symptoms that was so bad that I ended up in the hospital. And so to me, pizza is just not worth it anymore. It's not that good. I can find other things that I enjoy that, I'm fine. I don't have to have pizza. And so if I just kind of stay away from certain things like that, it really does help with my symptoms. And then, I was talking about having that balance of knowing when I have enough energy or when I don't. So exercise is not an everyday thing. It's more like, okay, today I don't have anything else to do. I have a little bit of energy. I'm going to walk on my treadmill. It's not, I'm not doing crazy aerobics or crazy weightlifting or anything like that. But, as much as I can, or at the very least, I try to do some housework and make sure that I'm kind of walking around and moving around a little more than maybe I usually would, just to get some activity and kind of, stir up the blood and get some things flowing. And so I feel like that helps quite a bit too. And then the very last part of the self-care is just being aware and knowing that there are medications that you have to take. I don't like taking medicine. If I had my way, I would not take any medicine. But there are some that help, and there are some that are needed. And one thing I've learned is also, when a doctor gives me a medication, that doesn't necessarily mean I have to take it. But I can research it, and I can decide for myself. Because just because a doctor prescribes something doesn't mean you're obligated to take it. Ultimately it's your body and it's your decision if you want to take that medication. So I do that. I weigh the risks and the benefits for myself and decide if I want to take that particular one or not. For example, the last time I went to the GI doctor, he, again, kind of didn't really listen to our concerns. At that time, I was still having quite a bit of sickness, and he just wanted to throw another prescription in there. And so he wrote the prescription, and we actually filled it. And we got home, and I looked it up online, and was reading about some of the side effects and things. And to be honest, this medicine had scary side effects, extremely scary side effects. And I just said, no, I don't think it's worth it for me. I decided to wait and just kind of see what would happen. And actually right after that, I started feeling better. And for the last few weeks, I've been doing really well. So in the end, I didn't really need that medicine anyway. So I think, just remembering that even though a doctor recommends something, even though the doctor feels like it might be necessary, doesn't mean you have to take it. You have to decide for yourself as part of your self-care. So those are the ways that I deal with chronic illness. My faith in God, my support system, and by taking care of myself. If you have any suggestions, if you have a chronic illness and you use some other methods to deal with it, let me know in the comments, because I'm always looking for new ideas. I can always incorporate some new ideas into my plan of taking care of myself. So if you're new here, I would love to have you subscribe. If you're watching this video on YouTube, underneath the video there is a red button that says subscribe. You just click on that and you're a subscriber. You're part of our family here and we would love to have you. I welcome any of your comments. If you have questions for me, anything you want to tell me, go ahead and leave a comment and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.